Hey everybody, this is Milax, and you're listening to Town Square Central. I have been on hiatus for a while, about a year and a half, if my math is right, and it feels really good to be back in the Gemstone orbit. I feel like I've missed a lot during that time, and I appreciate all of your kind welcome backs and helpful info about what's been going on in the world of Alanthea during my absence. I'm currently working on a couple of projects, one of which is an ongoing narrative series I'm calling Backstory, which will follow 3 characters in their varying paths to the adventuring life. Each character will get 3 episodes, each containing 3 segments, and we'll see their stories evolve over time. The first of these introduces us to Hank Hankson, a turnip farmer who makes his way to the landing, and the second, which just came out, delves into the world of Vinca Muscatello, a wine daughter gnome preparing for a major change in her life. And the third should be coming out real soon now. I really love these, but what the heck do I know? So let me know what you think, since these are very different from what I normally do on this show, and I'd like to hear your input. Otherwise, I'm working on gearing up for my White Whale, a SimuCon podcast, which I've wanted to do for years. Well, it's going to be a couple podcasts, really, this being the first of them. I will be attending SimuCon for the first time ever this year, and I'm pretty excited. In today's episode, you will hear from a pair of GMs who are helping to organize this convention, about its history and some suggestions on how to make it as fun as possible. And you will also hear from GMs and players alike about their treasured memories from SimuCon's past. So, without further ado, welcome to the 33rd episode of Town Square Central. Welcome to Town Square Central. Today we are joined by a pair of GMs who are going to be talking with us about SimuCon. So I am delighted today to welcome GM Xeraphina and GM Kveta to the show. How did I do?
Good enough.
Good enough?
So technically it should be pronounced Kveta, but no one does. So at this point I basically will respond to Steve. It's fine.
Kveta? Is that like Russian?
It's Czech, actually.
Oh, dang.
Yeah,
okay.
my PC had a unpronounceable 3 vowel in a row name, and so I vowed to pick a more pronounceable name for my GM name, and that's what I landed on. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, I like it. Kveta. I'm probably still going to say Kveta, but I'll try. I'll try to be a good Czech speaker. Okay, and now we are joined by the two of you because you are instrumental in helping to plan the topic for today's podcast, which is SimuCon 2022, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Can you hear my cat licking himself in the background?
No, but I'm
he
not
just joined
that.
me and decided okay.
If I do hear your cat is officially part of this panel.
All right.
Okay, so I remember reading about SimuCon when I was probably like a teenager. This would have been in like the AOL days, I think. And I saw that it was like a conference and it was far away. And it just was like impossible for me to conceive of ever going to it. So I've never been in my whole life. And I've seen like pictures and heard stories about it. But why don't we start out by having the two of you tell us what SimuCon is for those of us who have no idea.
Sure. Wow, you were way ahead of me back in the AOL days. I do not think that it existed. And
I may have invented that story. So
No, I think it did. I just didn't know because, I was a teenager and I couldn't afford more than my like 10 hours a month or whatever.
Yeah.
So, SimuCon is a conference for all of the Simutronics games. We're mostly down to Gemstone and Dragon Realms, and it has evolved a lot over the years, but it is a chance to go and meet other players and meet GMs and put faces to your unpronounceable name. Play some games, talk about the game. Yeah, and have fun.
That's actually really apt because it's just being, keeping in touch with the gaming community. We all play Gemstone because we love it for one reason or another. So why not hang out with other people who love it for one reason or another?
Yeah, and I think actually, Xeraphina, the last time that I talked to you on a podcast was when we were talking about Play a Part Together, right?
Probably.
I think so.
I think Play a Part Together came before OSA, which that's I think the last time I actually talked to you.
Okay, well, it's much neater narratively for me to think that the other thing is true, so I'm just going to assume that it is. I'm just going to pretend. Because now we get to play apart or play together I don't know. I'm trying to think of like the reverse of play apart together. I guess it would be like work. Like, never mind. This is dumb. Okay, so it's a chance for everybody to get together and talk about games that they love with other people who love them. And with games like Gemstone or Dragon Realms, which have like such small niche communities, I would imagine that, I don't know, it feels like particularly important, right? Because there aren't like hundreds of thousands of people lining up to play the game every day. Right,
totally. And for people who play, like the community usually at this point is what keeps them coming back and is what keeps them engaged in this weirdly over 20-year-old game.
Yeah. Okay, so you both have been to SimuCon before, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So tell me about the first SimuCon you attended and just tell me about the first SimuCon that you remember going to.
So the first SimuCon I went to was in 2004 when I was but a wee child, shall we say, because now I'm old. And it was back in the days when, like, I don't know, 400, 500 people would show up and we rented out the entire hotel. And my friend and I were going because we had heard some of our other friends were all going to go for the first time. And so we literally had a hotel reservation at like a Days Inn or whatever down the street because we were in college and poor. And so we had plans to share a hotel room at the convention with 6 other people that we had never met before.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
To save on costs because it wasn't cheap. But then we had a backup hotel reservation at the the Days Inn because we were also terrified.
Yeah, because like we grew up hearing like don't ever tell anyone your name on the internet, right? Don't give out your address. Like, and here you are, like going to like live with people for a week and you've never met them before.
Yeah, so we were like, oh my God, what if everyone's super weird? And we were creeped out. So, but then we got there and like everyone in our group was actually strangely almost exactly the same age and super cool and definitely weird, but weird in the same ways that we were.
Yeah,
so
safe weird.
Yeah. So I've been going basically every year that there was a SimuCon since.
Wow. Okay, Xeraphina, how about you?
My first SimuCon was in 2010. I attended with an ex, and it was very interesting. There was a lot going on, different games. There was lots of good food, lots of drinks. But it was also, like, I don't do well in very crowded areas with people I don't know well. So
convention is, like, kind of your nightmare?
In a weird way. So, like, if I have a large enough group of people that I am attending something with, then I'm okay going to, like, large conventions. But, like, this is my first time attending a convention of any sort in this regard. So I was, like, really quiet and shy and kind of, like, kept myself to my own little corner with my laptop just because I was still absorbing the atmosphere, so to speak. But it was an interesting time. 2015 was a completely different story, though. In 2015, I felt more comfortable in my shoes going to the convention, and I knew more people going into it than I did the first time I went. So things were a lot more comfortable for me.
Yeah, I guess in my head, not to like stereotype the poor Gemstone player community, and I'm including myself in that group, but like I'm envisioning a lot of like introverted people like sitting with their faces in their laptops, like basically playing Gemstone in a room together, and like not a lot of people are speaking.
Yeah, 100%. There are definitely people doing that. But then there's also people like up and about and playing board games or playing actual games. St. Louis is like 1 billion degrees in the summer, but I like to bring spike ball, which doesn't take a whole lot of athletic coordination, but is hilarious. And
spike ball is awesome,
especially when played badly. So people would be doing some of that. It's really all kinds, I think, at SimuCon.
Just in general, since you've both been to multiple SimuCons over the years and are fairly experienced and are planning this year, what's your favorite part of SimuCon overall?
Xeraphina, you want to go first?
So I really enjoy like the panels and the state of Atlanthia because it's fun seeing other people react to news or information that's coming out that they might not have been expecting, or updates. As far as the not quite game focused activities, I mean, I'm just going to do a shameless plug. I'm really excited about the murder mystery we're doing this year, because initially when I had selected the theme for it, it was in 2020, and it was because it was based in like with Mardi Gras and everything like that, because my husband and I got married at Mardi Gras in 2020, and I thought it would be really fun to continue that, you know, with the murder mystery for SimuCon, and then SimuCon got canceled. So we're bringing it back this year.
Yeah, that's fun. So we'll
nice
see how
callback
these
thing.
like it's a little wedding memory. We'll see how all these gemstone role players do with like IRL role playing. You know, like that'll be fun.
They actually do really, really well. This will be the second, third, would it be the fourth year that we've done the murder mystery?
I don't know. They sort of run together. The one that will forever stick in my mind, though, is when GM Xeraphina was the murderee, and she let out such an ear-piercing, like, curdling scream of terror as she died that I literally headed to the hallway to head off any hotel staff.
Wow.
Who like were gonna come and investigate, you know, why we just murdered somebody.
Wow. Okay. No, so the murder mystery sounds fun. I saw there's also like a D&D game, like a one shot you can sign up for. I saw that there's like a Catan tournament and some other stuff. So it does seem like there's a lot of other activities to do beyond the fun panel and stuff.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it's not just like that stuff either. A lot of other individuals, players, or other GMs might have something that they're interested in trying to arrange an outing for, and those are the side quests that people can opt to do at any point. I know Lydell is wanting karaoke at some point this during con.
Oh my
so
God.
He just wants to sing Sabotage. Yeah.
And I definitely
It'll be
need to go
painful for
there
everyone.
with a microphone to record that for
You
posterity.
should. 100%. My favorite part is the dance party.
Oh my God.
Back in the very early days, I think they even used to have like a band, and then there was like a dance party, but I was a terrified child, so I never went. And then we didn't have a dance party for probably a decade. And then one time on the drive down in the car, I was like, I'm going to get a dance party to happen at SimuCon, and it's going to stick. A bunch of nerds are going to dance. And then I think that year I got about 6 people to dance total, which was a success. But it's been growing every year, and now it's super fun, actually. So that's my favorite non-game related activity.
Yeah, and it's in the like agenda. 10 o'clock p.m. DJ Kveta, not a real DJ's dance party.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My favorite gemstone related thing is the blindfolded PvP tournament, where that's a brainchild of GM Estild and mine, where we basically created an arena and rolled up some characters, and then you have to have a team, and one person is blindfolded and they type, and the other members on their team have to tell them what to do.
That's amazing.
It's hilarious.
I have dibs on Avaluka if she's going to this event.
I think we disqualified her from being the typist, actually.
Yeah, she'd be like a superhuman in that thing. That's wild.
Totally.
Okay, so 500 people, live band, dance party to, you know, like what it seems like what it sounds like it's going to be this year. It's obviously changed a lot. Can you talk a little bit about how SimuCon has changed over the years, how it's gotten to where it is today?
Sure. Like, in the early 2000s, it was actually run by Simu, and it was wildly expensive. Well, maybe not wildly, but I was in college, so to me, it was wildly expensive, right?
A lot of ramen to get in there, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, I think it was like $100 per attendee.
Oh, it was more than that.
Period.
It was more than that.
More than that.
It was like 300. Because they had like the formal catered dinner on Saturday, not catered, but in the hotel.
One catered dinner. That was like in 2010 when I attended.
No. Not 2010. I'm talking like 2004. It was literally like $300 to register.
Oh,
My
yeah,
God.
no.
But I mean, we took over the whole hotel. We had like 6 conference rooms. You know, the hotel bar staff did all the catering, and like there were vendors and stuff that would sit outside. You could get like henna tattoos or caricatures, stuff like that.
That's awesome.
It was wild, yeah. But you know, I think Simu sort of lost enthusiasm, and then people went away from text-based gaming, and then the con kind of slowed down. I think the people who ran it had gotten tired, because turns out it's exhausting to run it, which I found out later. And so by 2006, there was no more SimuCon. They took like a break. And then SimuCon started up again in 2007 on a sort of much smaller scale. So then I think, Melissa, when you hit in 2010, like it was still going kind of medium, but again, enthusiasm for on the part of, I think Bubba was running it then, Dr. Bubba, and then he ended up leaving Simu. I don't remember when. I want to say around 2012 or 2013. So SimuCon actually died in 2013. There was no SimuCon in 2013, and there was no real plan to ever bring it back. We thought it had run its course. But then there was a DRGM named Evan Sabinius, and he decided he wasn't going to let SimuCon die, and he planned sort of like an unofficial, like a smaller one that I think only DR players went to. And then the next year in 2014, he recruited me and GM Estild. I don't know how he pronounces it, actually.
He doesn't know how he pronounces it either. It's fine.
Okay. To try to bring SimuCon back. And so we did, and I think maybe like, I don't know, under 10 GS players showed up for that year in 2014.
Okay.
And it was unofficial. It was no longer run by Simutronics. It was run by like volunteers to put this thing together, right? And so we brought it back. And then because, you know, Evan, he really believed it and he wanted to keep doing it. And so we were like, sure. And so we organized it again. And it was small, but it was actually really nice. And then unfortunately, Evan actually passed away later that year. And so thereafter, GM Estild and I were basically like, well, we have to keep this going. It was one of the last things that he did was reinvigorate SimuCon, right? In his memory, we have to keep it going.
Wow. I had no idea about that. The continuity is nice, you know, like keeping that thing alive.
Mm-hmm. So in like 2015, I think we were like, we're going to build this. It's still volunteer supported. It's still volunteer organized and supported today. And we had an auction, like a live in-person auction, because we thought that would be fun. And then we brought back the Radio Free SimuCon stream because we thought that would be fun and maybe drum up some attendance. And then every year since, it's just gotten bigger and bigger.
I guess the other interruption that's happened was because of COVID, right? So, like, I was planning to go in this, what was that, the summer of 2020? And I was really excited. Yeah. I wanted to do this podcast on this thing that I'd always heard about. And it got shut down because of COVID. And so this is the first time in 2 years, right? Am I doing my math right? Yeah. So since 2019, so 3 years, this will be the first one since then. So how has COVID affected this, like planning this? And what do you expect the impact on like the event itself might be?
We have to be extremely mindful about not just like the CDC guidelines for that, but also if we're going to be in a hotspot or not. And this is an ever-changing situation. Things continuously get updated as new information comes out.
Right.
So we have to make sure that we are keeping abreast of that as well. One of the things that we're making sure of for this year is we are going to require masks to be worn inside the convention room at all times. And that's just, you know, one of the base things that we can do in this type of situation. We're not requiring people to be vaccinated or show proof of vaccination. We're just also wanting people to use common sense when keeping the guidelines in line.
Yeah. with the one exception of the SimuCon dinner. Yeah, no, it was tough. We canceled the 2020 SimuCon in retrospect pretty early. Like, we made that announcement pretty early, and I was gutted. Like, it was super sad, you know? Like, SimuCon 2019 was so much fun, and I felt like we were back.
Yeah, well, you've been building momentum too, right? Like, since Evan had gotten things going again, and then you and Estild had picked up, like, to then suddenly have your legs cut out from underneath you, I'm sure would be devastating.
Yeah, and I feel like player enthusiasm was at an all-time high, and we had even gotten like new players, like players who weren't coming in the mid-2000s were coming and were bringing their friends and were excited and were organizing their own side quests. And so canceling it, like, especially that early when we didn't know how COVID was going to shake out, was crushing. I also had the schedule ready, like the earliest in my entire history of procrastinating about getting the schedule ready.
Sure you did.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was especially mad about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then obviously COVID did not go, I think, how anyone would have necessarily predicted. And I'm just super glad that we are able to have it, like, fingers crossed, but like this year, and there's going to be no solution that is going to be perfect. Like, I know some, like, people have very different feelings about masks and whatnot, but I think it's better to have it and try to be as accommodating or as safe as possible, right? And then to be forced to cancel it again because it's been so long.
No, that sounds right to me. Like, obviously it would be nice to get immediately back to where things were a few years ago. We're not quite there, but we're closer, and so that's a pretty good place to be. Mm-hmm. And having any event, I think, will be really nice.
Yeah, and you know, the folks that show up at SimuCon, like, it is such a community, and it's so cool getting to see these people that you've seen, like, in game, like, to be like, oh, you are a real flesh and blood person, and like, oh, it's fun to hang out, right?
Yeah. So here's a question that I have about this: do people wear name tags?
Yes.
Okay. I was just wondering. I mean, especially if people are wearing masks, right? Like, it's going to be all these people I've never seen before in my life, and I'll be like, I don't know who the hell these people are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
sorry, I interrupted
their
you.
Name
Like,
tag will be accurate because you can actually put whatever you want on it. But most people will wear, like, their character's name tag, and you'll forever be turning around and be like, "Oh my God, you're so and so," and then you'll butcher the pronunciation, and then they'll tell you how it's really pronounced in their head, and then you'll ignore them. So, you know,
I'm gonna put GM Kveta on my name tag, and I'm just gonna actually no, you're like a known quantity, right? So people probably, like, know you.
It would probably confuse some people if you did that.
Okay, well, that sounds great. So I'm gonna roll with it. You talked a minute ago about how this went from being this. I'm picturing like a corporate, like Las Vegas hotel ballroom with, like, realtors descending from, like, upper Utah. You know, like, that's the vibe I have in my head anyway. But now it's this very I don't know, like, grassroots thing where, like, individuals are just being like, yeah, let's keep doing this. And so you're using Indiegogo. Like, can you talk a little bit about how the sausage gets made now, and, like, why these tools get used and why they work?
Yeah, like back in the day, you know, all the GMs would have to do door duty shifts, and they would have to check badges to make sure that you had a badge to go in. And again, I was poor, so I actually didn't register. And the one event I think I attended, I snuck into.
Oh my God.
Which it turns out, if you were, like, carrying supplies into the panel, like, you know, a 12-pack of soda or whatever early, and then you just left it there, and then you just stayed in the room. That's how you could sneak past the door guards.
Wow. all the dirty secrets being revealed right here.
Don't sneak past the door guards anymore. Not that we have door guards, but if there are door guards, don't sneak past them.
Yeah.
But also, like I said, it used to cost like $300, and now it costs $20. So yeah, it's much less formal. Although we have more, like, if you came to SimuCon maybe 5 years ago or even 10 years ago, we have more game-related content than that. Where we actually have panels and programming for people to sit around and discuss the games in a more formal setting. But yeah, it's totally grassroots. It's organized. Xeraphina here is picking up the back end, I like to call it, of all of the logistics planning, like buying the lanyards, for example, things that you don't think about until you're suddenly like, oh,
we need these things that we don't have right now.
Yeah, somebody has to own a printer to print out the name tags.
Yep.
And so Indiegogo, Evan, I think, picked that, and it was at the time like the cheapest platform where we could organize and take money and use that money to do things like rent the conference room, or provide dinner on Saturday, or buy lanyards. And every year, someone's like, "Why do we have it in St. Louis? Or why do we have it at that hotel? Can we have it like anywhere else or at a better hotel?"
Do people not like the hotel? I don't know the hotel.
I mean, it's not a great. It's like either the crappiest nice hotel I've ever been to, or like the nicest crappy hotel I've ever been to.
I mean, that's not like the worst line to straddle as hotels go, though.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, but somebody inevitably asks, like, can we move it this year? And we always investigate, and we always conclude this is actually our best option, because the hotel, like, they don't, They let us bring in outside booze sort of under the radar. They let us sneak in outside food under the radar. And, they don't shut my dance party down until at least 4 a.m. So I'm not sure.
Wow.
I'm not sure of any other hotel. Yeah, I don't know if there's any other hotel where we could get away with murder, literal, like, screaming murder. And they're like, nah, you're fine.
Yeah, this actually sounds like the best hotel that's ever been to me.
Right?
I don't know.
Right. So, like, we were at the DoubleTree one year, and they kept us out in a parking lot. It was 1 billion degrees. They had literally, like, cones and, like, sort of taped off a section of the parking lot for us to hang out and drink in.
The weirdness that you all are experiencing right now is too much for inside the building. Like, please go outside and do this away from other civilized people.
Exactly. Like, you're going to freak out our other guests. We are a respectable institution. Like, keep your nonsense in this parking lot.
That's a reasonable position. So do these other people, do they want, like, nicer? Do they want, like, the Four Seasons? Or like, what are they looking for? Just different. Are they just whining? Sometimes people just whine, What should folks attending SimuCon this year expect? Particularly those who, like, maybe they haven't gone in a while, or maybe, like me, it's their first time. Are people just kind of hanging out and doing their own thing all day? Is everyone kind of, like, together in the same big ballroom? Like, what's like a day in the life?
So the good thing about where our hotel is located, it's kind of like this little plaza. It's got a bunch of different restaurants and, some other things to do. So people are not necessarily stuck to being at the convention at all times. They're more like, they can go get food or just go hang out at other places, or sometimes they just hang out by the pool to get out and get some sun. So if it's first time, definitely be meeting a lot of new people, or it might be that you're finally meeting people that you've talked to and known for a while but never actually saw them face to face. So it's an interesting thing, because, like, you don't even necessarily have to be very outgoing or extroverted yourself, because there's plenty of those personalities. It's a nice little mix where they'll go and they'll introduce themselves to you and be like, hey, I know your character because of this, or I heard about them because of that. I'm sure if you let people know, hey, I'm Mylax, they'll be like, oh my god, I love TSC. That's so awesome.
I get that all the time from, like, everyone I meet in real life, just every day. So yeah, I expect that from everyone.
So, I mean, that would be, like, the biggest thing to me is, like, just, getting to put faces to the names that you've known.
Yeah.
All these years already.
Yeah. And there's a mix too. There are definitely people like me who never leave the hotel or the immediate surroundings, right? Because you don't need to. But then there are also people who are vastly more ambitious who will be like, let's go to the zoo. And I'll be like, what? That's outdoors.
Yeah. What's wrong with you?
Yep. There's the zoo. There's City Museum.
City Museum is amazing. Everyone who's going should go to City Museum. It's incredible. I take my kids there, and it's like the coolest. I mean, I had fun as a grown man at that place, but, like, especially I feel like for kids, it is the coolest place on the planet. Shameless plug for City Museum. It's amazing.
But yeah, we try to post the schedule so that oh, I need to be back in the conference room because I don't want to miss this panel or this game or whatever. And we try to make sure that there are activities for like the people who don't ever leave, that there's something to choose from. Not everyone participates in all of the activities. You do have a lot of people sitting around and playing Gemstone together or playing other board games or just sitting and chatting and ignoring the activities. And then I will say we're a little light on programming in the mornings because there is some alcohol to be had, generally speaking, if you bring it, because we don't supply it. Disclaimer. In the evenings. And I'm not a morning person, so if you want to do your own thing in the morning, that's great. It's a great time.
Well, some of us like to sleep, just in general.
And sleeping. Yes, I also like sleep. Oh, right. So with the schedule, you're free to do as much or as little of it as you want. And people do, as much or as little of it as they want.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very excited. And I will admit, like, a little nervous to, like, meet people that I've known as, like, names or, people I've talked to. I think it'll be really fun. Is there, like, a click thing going on with, like, GMs all kind of, like, huddle on, like, a raised dais, like, up above the common people and, like, throw scraps down at the commoners? Or, like, is it pretty intermingly?
It's pretty intermingly.
Yeah, lots of intermingling.
That's disappointing. I mean, it's cool, but, like, it would be cool if there were, like, the, like, mean girl jerk people that we could, like, be mad at.
I could try if you wanted.
No, I think I
could do my best Regina George impression.
All right, that's a new side quest right there, is a Mean Girls impersonation contest.
Yes, and if you throw in, like, numbers from the new musical, I'll be super impressed.
So obviously the two of you will be attending this year. Do you have any suggestions or advice for folks going for the first time?
Make a reservation down the street in case all the people that you're going to room with are weird.
I'm not staying at the hotel, which I'm worried like might have been an error because one of my best friends lives in St. Louis and he's going to be out of town, so he said I can just use his house.
Oh, that was an error.
Yeah, and like St. Louis is not. It's not like as small as I thought it was. So like Tower Grove East is like not close to this hotel. So yeah. Yeah,
you should stay at the hotel. Stay at the hotel, and I would also say don't go overboard on planning your like St. Louis based activities because like if you get absorbed in the con, you won't have time to leave and go do any St. Louis based activities.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like great advice, and I think just like in my limited experience going to conventions, going in without a real plan is sometimes like the best plan, and then picking up like whatever you find in front of you, other than the things that you need to like schedule in advance and whatnot, but just kind of being open to what comes your way. At least that's my mantra for this, is just being open.
Yeah, totally. Like, it's surprisingly fun, actually, to even just play Gemstone in a group of people. Like, back in the day, right? They actually had a computer lab at SimuCon because people didn't have laptops.
That's awesome.
And one of our favorite games, like, we get a group of, like, 12 of us and, like, line up, and then we would find some unsuspecting person who did not come to SimuCon, like, in, like, North Market or something. And then we would write a sentence, and we would each take a word. So it would be like, hi there, so-and-so, how are you doing? But we would split it up and then whisper it one word at a time from a different person down the line. And then the person who got the message from the 12 different people would just freak out because they were like, what is happening right now?
That's pretty good.
That sounds hilarious.
Yeah, and yeah, my like secret hope anytime, actually it's not a secret, my hope anytime I have like Gemstone open on my computer is that, because unlike you two, I do everything on my laptop, and I don't have 400 monitors surrounding it. But if I'm at like an airport or just out somewhere and people can see it, I'm always hoping someone will come up and be like, oh, is that Gemstone? Which has never happened, but it would be, I think it'd be really, really cool if it did. And in this place, I mean, everyone will know it, right?
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I mean, don't overbook your own schedule. Stay at the hotel. Get involved in more activities than you, like if you're on the fence, like, I don't know, just go for it, lean in. But then also always remember that you can like retreat back to your, hotel room if you've had a little bit too much together time, because we're all a bunch of nerds and nobody judges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you, Xeraphina? Any advice for newbies?
I think that last bit of advice from Kveta was right on point. Like, don't feel pressured to go above and beyond what your level of comfortability is. You can interact as much or as little as you want or need to. So, we will all understand if you end up having to disappear for an hour to like chill after having FaceTime with a bunch of potential new friends for like 3 hours straight. So just do what you're comfortable with.
Yeah,
Don't
self-care.
like overdo it.
Yeah.
Self-care. Yeah, I mean, if I meet a bunch of like really social, well-adjusted people at this event, I think I'm gonna freak out because that's not that's not what I've had in my head.
You may be surprised because there actually are a bunch of raging extroverts. It turns out.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited to find that out.
Yeah, there are plenty of people who will sit and talk to you all day long, and then there are a bunch of people who are introverts who have enough alcohol to become raging extroverts.
Yeah, exactly. We all have a threshold, right? And once you get there, you suddenly become pretty extroverted yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alcohol definitely does not play a part in the Saturday night dance party at all.
Which GM of all the GMs that you know are going to be there, and maybe expansively for all GMs, just period, is most likely to end up hearing last call at a bar during SimuCon?
Lytle.
Wow, that was really fast. All right, I guess there's some history there, but we don't need to get into it.
I'm not sure he ever sleeps, actually. If I had to pick somebody else, it might be, I don't know how she pronounces it, Kaikala?
Kaikala is definitively what it is.
Kaikala, okay. Yeah, but she's West Coast, right? So she's got that whole time difference thing going on. I don't know what Lytle's excuse is, but he's up that late like every night anyway. So at SimuCon, yeah. He gets lock the door on your way out duty.
Well, I'm kind of impressed that there was just like unanimous and immediate recognition of that fact, but that's cool. Here's the other thing I want to pitch is a side quest, okay? And maybe it's not actually a side quest. Maybe it's just like a thing we should do on the podcast. But I heard a thing recently, and I don't remember where I heard it, which is obviously like great context. But it was basically like people who played a game were like testing their knowledge against the people who made the game. And so it was like a trivia thing. And so I thought that like a trivia game with like GMs going against players would be really, really fun.
Nope.
Oh no.
No.
There's actually a radio segment I have from Radio Free SimuCon where I guess some of the players wrote a trivia game which was, how much does GM Kveta know about Gemstone? It went very poorly for me.
Answer, nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so not only that, but you also have to consider if they decide to put Zorus up.
Oh, Zorus knows literally all things.
Yeah. No, that would be embarrassing for all the GMs.
Although, wait. If it's not just limited to the GMs on this call, right? Then that might be okay because we have GM Najin, right? He knows a whole lot about a lot of things. Estild, like he knows a lot about things as long as it's not us.
No, I think it's open-ended. Like this is how I would say it's like choose your champions, right? So like you can have some GM representatives, some player representatives, and they go up against each other, and then whoever wins gets like a fabulous prize of some kind.
But are we talking about like just mechanics? Are we talking lore? Are we talking about a combination? Like
we're talking about everything.
I mean, okay, no, I think that GM. Oh, I don't want to say it out loud. She'll get so mad at me. GM Tandaway.
Tandaway, I think is
it's
right.
actually Thandiwa is what it is.
I pronounced it possibly something like Tandui once, and then she yelled at me.
No, I sent her an article over the summer about like an actress named Tandua Newton. Who, anyway, and she was like, "Oh yeah, a bunch of people sent this to me. Thank you."
Yeah, that checks out.
Anyway, okay, so GM
I think
Tandua.
She's gonna be there this year, so she knows everything about everything lore, and
That's true.
Yeah, no. If we get to pick people that aren't us but our GMs, no, we could.
So I'm picturing like a math B kind of like national academic league kind of thing where there's like teams and you buzz in and answer questions sort of stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that'd be really fun.
Together, I'd put up a team.
Okay.
That's not me.
Or me.
No, I think you two have to go. You're organizers. But yeah, this is part of the like lost tapes of Town Square Central, but I did an interview with Zoris where he was talking about, I mean, like more stuff than I knew like existed in Gemstone. He's like thought about and analyzed and like mapped out and found all these connections. Like he is insanely knowledgeable. And yeah, he would be like a nuclear weapon in that kind of contest. So right now on the attendee list, there are I'm estimating 40 names on here. How many folks are you expecting to be present this year?
It's a little early to say. I want to say in 2019 we were at over 100. So this year obviously is weird for lots of reasons. So I'm going to guess somewhere between 40 and 100.
Okay. It's a big range. But
yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Fair. All right, well, I'm going to work on putting together a Gemstone trivia game that maybe just is like a podcast thing that we record and use later, but I think that would be fun. I think it'd be fun for me. I don't have to compete, so...
Check out the SimuCon page on the GS Wiki. There, SimuCon 2022. There's lots of information. There's way more information about like stuff to do in St. Louis than I think you'll need, because if you're like me, you won't leave the hotel, but that's fine. Some people are ambitious. The link to the Indiegogo, which is where you register, is there. If you have questions, you can hit us up on the official Discord in the SimuCon channel. And also, we will post the link to, probably on the wiki page, to the Radio Free SimuCon Twitch stream that we will be running from SimuCon, just in case you can't join us. Pop in and you can watch the stream. And sometimes if we have time, we'll take questions for panelists from the stream, or we'll do like giveaways for people who are watching the stream of little like in-game prizes like an altar or something like that.
Awesome. And I will make sure that we have that linked in the episode notes for today's podcast too.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you to both GM Xeraphina and GM Kveta for joining us today to talk all things SimuCon. I'm incredibly excited to see you all in, what is it, like 6 weeks? Is that right?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to be there, and I'll go with an open mind, and I think it'll be a lot of fun.
It will be a lot of fun.
Nailed it. All right. Great.
Thanks so much.
That was great. Okay.
Hello. I am the player of Raelee, who's also known as the one who's always carrying around the owl puppet. I have played Gemstone since 2003, and I've attended every official SimuCon since 2004, which I think is a total of 14. I first attended after watching the Radio Free SimuCon live stream the year before. Everyone just seemed like they were having so much fun, and I wanted to be a part of it. Now, looking back on it, I find it really hard to distill my love for SimuCon down to a single story. But my first SimuCon was the summer after I graduated from college, and I basically had no money to speak of. SimuCon was expensive back then. It was like over $200 to a ticket. So a lot of other people were in the same boat, and it wasn't uncommon for us to be sleeping 8 to a hotel room. So a lot of us attended unofficially, myself included. So we didn't pay for that $200 ticket, so we weren't allowed into any of the conference rooms or any of the panels. We were mostly just there to meet people and to have fun at the after parties. But a couple of us got a hold of some of those blue lanyards near the end, and we managed to sneak into just one panel on Sunday morning. We didn't have any badges to go with the lanyards, so we just stuck them in our pockets with the lanyard dangling out to kind of make it look like we had badges hidden in there. And then we came in with our hands full of these big cases of cheer wine, and we were trying to position ourselves as generous purveyors of free caffeine, which is desperately wanted on a Sunday morning. And it worked. We thought we were so clever, though looking back on it, I think it's possible that the GMs guarding the door were just too tired or hungover to care. And oddly, I remember our scheme to sneak into the panel more than the actual panel itself. I think it might have been something about the Arcadi. I don't know. But anyway, I am very, very sorry for sneaking into a panel, and I promise I have paid my way every year since.
So this is GM Kveta, and my story is about one time at SimuCon. There's a player who's kind of famous for sort of annoyingly asking us for a pony at every opportunity she gets, and I can say that because we're friends. And so GM Haliste was going to Starbucks and very generously asked, like, you know, if she could get anyone anything. And so people are like, yeah, give me a tall vanilla latte or whatever. And so she goes off to Starbucks, but except for one of the players had called out, give me a pony. Right? So GM Haliste goes and apparently is not very much of a Starbucks connoisseur. So she goes to Starbucks and she orders her like tall coffee and her like grande frappuccino and a soy vanilla latte and also a pony. And the barista's like, I'm sorry, what? And so she's like, no, a pony. And the barista's like, what? So she ends up calling back to the conference room and is like, I'm trying to order a pony, and the conference room just dies, like, because, like, she apparently, like, went in there, and I don't know, actually told a barista that she needed, like, a venti pony, and that's my story from SimuCon.
So this is GM Xeraphina, and my most treasured SimuCon story is actually regarding a SimuCon that I was not able to make it to. In 2016, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I had to go through cancer treatment during that summer. And as much as I had wanted to go to SimuCon that year, I was not able to make it. Well, my husband, my then fiance, did go, and when he came back, he actually came to see me, and he brought me a card that was signed by almost everybody in attendance at SimuCon, just wishing me well and that I would get better as I was going through my treatment. And it is just, you know, it demonstrated what type of community we actually are, especially, you know, getting that. And it's the only card that I've ever actually kept for any reason, was that card from that SimuCon. So that's my story. The end.
Hello, Milax. This is Erek, and I thought I'd give you a couple of stories around SimuCon. You know, I first actually was at a player gathering for Simutronics before SimuCon. Now, there was this one in 1990 called GemCon, but the first one that I recall that I was at was at a gathering in somebody's house in Vegas, and I actually apologize, I don't remember whose house this was, so if you recall the story and you were there, you know, let me know who it was. But in around 95, there was a sort of a party at a house in Vegas, and they had a pool in their backyard. And there was probably about 70 or so people there, and so this was right around the same time that AOL had just released. And so David was there, Alanka was there, several people from Simutronics were there, and quite a few players. And what I recall about that event, like I said, this is kind of pre-SimuCon, really. What I recall about it is I remember talking to the staff afterward, and David kind of looked around and he goes, we really should do this more, you know, because he hadn't had an event since around 1990, and he was really excited about it and wanted to do more of those, and that's sort of where the precursor planning to SimuCon 2 started, which happened in 1997. And so that was our first kind of really big gathering. I recall, I don't know, we must have had close to 400 people, and it was, you know, about a little less than a year after AOL had launched, so it was in full swing, and it had just gone flat rate pricing instead of hourly pricing. So here was this big group of people, and you know, all these staffers had descended, and we were trying to put on a great show for everybody, but we weren't prepared for that level of, you know, of involvement that the players were having at the time. And so you know, that later then evolved into a more of a planned event where we sat down and actually thought about presentations and how to pace the event in such a way that we were giving out good informational content about like kind of what was going on with the games, not just hey, let's get together and have a party and go play frisbee. The level of planning at the staff level is crazy. You don't know how much really goes into it until you actually sit down and try to actually keep things running for one of these events. So hats off to anybody that plans these and tries to make them run efficiently, because I mean I did some of that, but it was nowhere near the amount of real work and effort that went in for months ahead of the event, to actually get it all coordinated and running and get everybody where they're supposed to be. When you get around to 98 is when things really start getting well planned. I recall Alicia and I we prepared presentations that year, and so we went out and got a bunch of, this is kind of before the days of just being able to plug your computer into a projector and show it on a screen. So we went out and had transparencies printed. That was the year, I think it was 98, yeah, that was the year that we released all the stuff about the valences and the demonic planes. So I had slides about that, which you could probably find online somewhere. That was the year we had just sort of finished sketching out what the map looked like, and so we had some artwork that we were presenting there about the map. We didn't bring our little notepad sketch of it, but I think we had taken a picture of it to show that kind of this is what the genesis of the map looked like. But it sort of took off from there, because I recall, even subsequent years. I think my last SimuCon was the last one I went to was 2000. So I probably went to 4 or 5 years worth of player events, but they got better and better and better. And each time, you'd see plenty of people that you had met before, but what was astounding to me, and every year, I remember doing one keynote there. I remember asking everybody, raise your hand at that first meeting. I said, raise your hand if this is your first time here. And about half the room raised their hand, which was incredible. That we were drawing in, as many new people as we had from, prior events. So it just continues to get better and better. I have a lot of memorable moments about SimuCons. Some are bittersweet because some people that I remember most aren't here anymore. But those late night Catan games, I'm sure they still happen. And just being able to sit around at a table and not only talk about the games, but talk about just fun things you like to do. It's a great experience. Another good memory is back when I think Hercules and Xena had released. I recall sitting down at one of the big dinners that we had. It was a costume dinner, and Robert Trevor, who played Salmonius from Hercules, sat at our table, and he knew that he was coming to a sort of a fan gathering, but I don't think he really knew and understood what it all was. And so I recall he was all excited about just meeting everybody and learning what we were doing, but he didn't at the time know and understand that here we all were playing our various text-based role-playing games. And so we talked about for quite a bit about how people could be the author of their own story and interact with each other and be part of that. And he got really, really excited. I don't know if he ever went back and played it after that, but it was a great conversation, and he was really, really a great guy. And one of the things that I recall him remarking on about the whole experience was just as a fan base, not necessarily fans of Hercules and Xena, but just a fan base of people that like to play games. I remember him saying that it was a really warm and friendly audience of people. And if you take nothing away from it about, like, if you're ever sitting on the fence about, geez, maybe should I go or not go to SimuCon, the people are what make the experience great. The laughter, the camaraderie, the being able to tell stories and really make lifelong friends just by being in a common space and enjoying a pastime that you love with people that also like it too. So I would say get out there and enjoy it. It's great fun. undoubtedly meet people that will become lifelong companions. You might meet some people that you don't want to meet again, but hey, that's the nature of meeting people. So anyway, yeah, Milax, that's my story. I hope that you enjoy I think you are going to be at SimuCon, so I hope you enjoy your time there, and we'll see you down the road. Thanks.
That is all we have for today, folks. Thanks for listening. A special thank you to GM Kveta, GM Xeraphina, Raelee, and Erek for contributing to today's episode. I will be at SimuCon in St. Louis this summer, and I'm really hoping to be able to connect with and hang out with as many of you as possible, so let me know if you're going to be there. I've also been asked to share that Simutronics will be providing Saturday night dinner off-site at the, and I swear this is what it's called, the Royal Dump. In order to get an accurate count for attendance, attendees will need to purchase their badge tier from Indiegogo and fill out the subsequent survey by July 20th. I just did mine, so I will be there. That's all for today. Thanks for listening, and catch you next time on Town Square Central.